Western Cape government says it's concerned by the latest crime statistics in that province. According to the latest data, close to 1,000 people were murdered between April and June this year. Meanwhile, more than 1,100 rape cases were reported in that same period. Authorities have been criticized for not moving fast enough to respond to this trend. For more on the numbers and the possible interventions, let's speak to Provincial Police Commissioner, that's Thembisile Patekile, who joins us now via our video link to unpack this further. And Commissioner, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks so much indeed for making time to speak to us. Part of what has been revealed is that much of the murders committed during this period were using some kind of firearm. What else can you tell us about that? I mean, where do these firearms come from? Are they held legally? Do you know where to intervene to prevent at least these kind of murders from continuing?
Good morning and good morning to the listeners. The weapon of choice in the Western Cape are firearms. And our focus was on the firearms. As you can see that the number of murders that we had, we have an increase of 2 as compared to last year. But the two is too many as well. What we are doing, we are recovering as many firearms. For the quarter, we had 634 firearms that we recovered, illegal firearms, where people were arrested. And quite a sizable number of those that we recovered are abandoned as well. So the weapon of choice is the firearms, and we know that the problem that we're sitting with in Cape Town is the gangs, as well as the groups that are involved in extortions and kidnappings.
Yeah.
But what's alarming, though, is also the fact that the crimes against women and children, especially domestic violence, where many murders are also committed in-house. That is the what we've been saying. We are on the stabilization of many of the stations that were identified, 10 top stations that are contributing 45% of our murders in the Western Cape. We are seeing good results in some detection in many of those stations, and also on the gangs. As much as gangs, that there are too many murders as well, with 161 murders on that. But we are there with the communities also trying to ensure that we get as many partnerships as possible, and also with the City of Cape Town deployments, and as well as other integrated approaches and the government and the violence prevention programs that the Western Cape government is also involved in with us in that space as well.
Yeah. So much has also been said about crime specifically, Commissioner, within Cape Town CBD. I mean, there's been organizations that have come out to say that while they note the SAPS's anti-crime focus in the CBD, as far as they're concerned, it comes a little too late. What do you say are some of the underpinning reasons why there's an uptick in crime specifically in that area, and why only intervene when you did?
Look, the CBD in Cape Town, what we've seen is the robberies, street robberies in the areas that we've identified. And in many of those cases now, what we're doing is we deployed more people and also within the CBD, we got CCTV cameras who are looking at the groupings that are involved in that. And we've seen that when we've taken some of the groups away, and there is a decline in number of incidents that are being reported in the CBD of Cape Town.
Yeah. I mean, part of the intervention, I imagine, involves a deployment of additional officials to try to clamp down on the crime. Are you seeing results of that yet?
The multidisciplinary approach that we had with the City of Cape Town, the law enforcement, the Metro Police, the City Development Improvement Program in the city, it's beginning to pay dividend in many places in the hotspot approach way, because we're looking at the hotspots and the times where these things are happening. And we've seen the decline in many of the hotspot areas that we are looking at focusing on. But what we're also now focusing on is the youth crime prevention, because many of the victims of these crimes are youth, and also the suspect that we arrest as youth. So we are going now to a upcoming youth crime summit to pave the way with the youth, how the youth will be involved in prevention of crime. That's beside the deployment that we're doing, but on the partnerships that we are involved with many stakeholders, all of society and all of government approach within Western Cape.
Yeah. Speaking about young people, I mean, You know, depending who you speak to, so many individuals are disillusioned by the police's ability to ever clamp down on crime in places like the Cape Flats. I mean, just recently in Delft, we heard of a 15-year-old girl caught in the crossfire as she was walking her friend to the shop to buy something to eat. She was shot and killed. I mean, you know, what else can police really do in areas like that where the crime has been rampant for so many years, it feels deeply entrenched, and many people, as I mentioned, think police can't really do much else?
We do what we do best. The partnership firstly is working in many of those areas. We see that it's shifting as in special areas like Delton, Steenberg and other places. The partnership with the communities, because when more communities stand up and say enough is enough, we see the decline, but also our deployment. But what is important is to get the idling youth that is there to be busy. That is why now our focus is on the youth, to ensure that the youth is kept busy. And you know that in many of our areas we don't have many recreational facilities, but at least something can be done with the youth and coming up with themselves, paving the way, and the strategies how we're going to be ensuring that they are engaged in many activities than being idling, and because they're becoming the breeding ground of the criminals.
All right, Western Cape Police Commissioner Thembisile Patekile, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. I imagine there's going to be something a whole lot more convincing that is needed, at least if you're going to be giving any kind of challenge to these gangs that have been active in those areas for many years now. But for now, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Thembisile Patekile is the Western Cape Police Commissioner.